Hi, I'm going to say a bit today about meeting experiences in the moment, talking quite specifically about my own experience of COVID, which I've spoken about before. Um, Really looking at the disparity between the narrative and the story created by imagination and the reality of those sensations in the body, because those two things get really tightly locked together sometimes and it's hard to differentiate between them. But there's a subtle difference that's worth exploring. So there was an experience here of COVID in round wave one, which was February, March 2020, when everything was unknown, and it was fairly scary in terms of just not knowing what was going to play out. And then there followed an experience of long COVID, which again was a new emerging. And thankfully, there started to be the development of lovely forums online where people were coming together as communities and supporting each other. I've been very grateful to be part of those. And just noticing throughout those experiences, while there were some incredible lessons about just getting really intimate with the sensations in the body and being present to them without creating a huge story about it, which isn't always possible, that all the while there was an underlying fear underpinning this around what happens if it happens again. And I didn't realise how strong that fear was until that became a reality. So it was the second experience of COVID just a couple of weeks ago. I tested positive, and just really interesting to watch that, because actually initially there was this oscillation between fear of, oh my goodness, it's actually happening, I can't go through this again, it's way too much, I can't cope. And then when that subsided, just noticing that there was a sense of, okay, there's these sensations in the body, and actually as the fear dissolves, it's okay. It's all right. There is discomfort, there is, some unknown, but actually just being able to sit with that and be with that was really interesting experience. And it just got me thinking about how powerful the imagination and the mind is in the identification about what that story says about me, and all those hidden beliefs about capacity to deal with illness and weakness, which is an interesting one for me particularly, and what perceptions lie there around that and other people's perceptions of it and how that's taken here. And just having a bit of freedom and space to look at that. And it has been really interesting because it has oscillated quite a lot and quite intensely for me in the past week or so. And there was a visiting experience of quite deep depression and a low mood that moved through really slowly. Took me back to some places that I'd rather not go back to, but actually seeing it again with fresh eyes and being with it in a more compassionate way, and knowing there was a deep knowing all that while that experience was transitory. And historically, there's always been fear around things like low mood and anxiety coming in, about what that means and the identity and how long is that going to stay and what I need it to go and all those kind of things. And actually, this time I just sensed, okay, this is visiting, it's coming through, and it's not me, it's not lasting forever, it doesn't define me, it's moving through and it's an experience. And just a reflection that when we meet experiences in the moment, it can be so different to the concept of an experience, to the idea of it. There's quite a lot of drama here around, well, there was COVID first time, then there was long COVID, then there was COVID again, and gosh, how can that happen to me? And can you believe that? And a sort of energetic frequency around that. But then sort of letting that fall away and just seeing, well, in reality, there's just a series of sensations moving through the body, and they are moving. It's not static. The only unchanging aspect of this whole thing that there can ever be is the capacity to witness it from a space that is completely calm, immaculate, untouchable, and unchanging. And the moments that there was a capacity to be in that space in the past couple of weeks, there was just like a relief and a release, and I could feel tension falling out of the body. I could feel at a cellular level a capacity for healing that hadn't always been visible before, because there was just an invitation to kind of just go, okay, there is an aliveness here from that depth of space below the story of what's going on and all the meaning making around that is so deeply powerful and transformational, really, that it could be felt at a cellular level, almost like that's how the body can heal. Because from a physiological level, it's very interesting to note that every time we engage with a story about fear and about hopelessness and what this might mean for me, obviously the brain is then sending signals to the body to invite the sympathetic nervous system to go into a state of arousal and adrenaline and to be on guard and to fight. And that's draining from an energetic point of view. And just the seeing and the capacity to see that there's this inextricable link there going on between the mind and body. And it's not saying that these sensations are in the mind and it's made up. That's a really important thing to notice. It's saying that every time there's a sensation in the body and the mind makes a story about it and creates fear and worry and what if scenarios, then obviously the body goes into this state of arousal and is not able to heal in that state because it's caught up in the neural pathway of releasing certain, hormones and emotions in the body, tightening, systems aren't quite working as they should do. So that capacity to relax into a space of knowing, meditation perhaps, reflection, just being present with what is, allows the parasympathetic nervous system to go into rest and digest. And that is the beautiful healing space where the body can restore itself naturally, and we can just trust in that process, in the infinite intelligence that's living us. And that's something that's been really, really powerful to notice these past few weeks, obviously in and out of the story and the narrative and the fear and all the other normal things that come up with that are very understandable in this process. So if this is a familiar story for you, I just thought it might help to share it and to know that there's something deeper at play here that can help us get back into healing. Lots of love. Thank you.